Hey solos, so you're going to Disney by yourself. Should you stay at Coronado Springs? Well, solo spoiler, if you're looking for some deluxe food and drink amenities that you can enjoy at night and you don't mind a disconnected storyline, then Coronado Springs is actually a really great option for you. Hi everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do, and welcome to Solo Magic, the #1 podcast about the magic of going to Disney World solo. This episode concludes my summer series talking about the value in moderate resorts and providing an overview and the pros and cons of staying there solo. I saved Coronado for last because it's my least favorite of the 4 moderate resorts, but it is a lot of people's favorite and I wanted to let you know what it's about so you can decide if it is right for you. I was saying just this weekend that this has been such a fun series for me to do and a fun series to have you participate in and comment on all that stuff. And it would be awesome to do it for the deluxe resorts, even though I haven't stayed in them, because I think I have a pretty good understanding of the overview of what the deluxe resorts are like and some pros and cons of staying solo. I mean, look, if you can afford a deluxe resort, you know the rooms are going to be great. So maybe some perspective on what the grounds are like, and again, some pros and cons of staying solo would be useful. One of the problems of doing the deluxe resort series is that there's so many deluxe resorts that it would literally be like taking 2 or 3 months worth of content and just focusing on the deluxe resorts. And I don't really know if that's worth it. I mean, especially right now with fall coming up, there's going to be the Food and Wine Festival and all the Halloween stuff and then Christmas. So anyway, it's something I'm thinking about. Please let me know on Instagram if you are interested in having a series talking about the deluxe resorts, and that could help me make that decision when I am looking at future programming. And yes, Instagram actually is the best way to get in touch with me. I'm also on Threads and Facebook, and there's a blog too, but I realized this summer that my focus and energy has mainly been towards Instagram, and that's what I've been finding the most fun with, connecting with community. There's also been some crazy things happening in my life this summer, and so realizing just the parts that I feel the most excited about are the ones I'm going to be spending the most energy on this fall. So anyway, Instagram's the best way to get in touch with me always, but you can listen to this on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. That will not change, and please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you rate. It'd also be really great if you pass this around and share this with other people, because you are kind of the best promotion about a podcast like this, because it is kind of word of mouth when you're like, oh, I heard something that's pretty cool too. So if you think this is pretty cool, please pass it along to somebody, because solo travel isn't just about just by yourself. That notion of solo might be just you and your mom friends, or you and your partner, or you and your best buddy being like, you know what, we're going to do all Star Wars, no kids. And that might be awesome for you. So anyway, passing this along. I think this is enough preamble. Let's get into it. Now, if you have listened to any episodes in this moderate hotel series, you will know that I have said that Coronado Springs is my least favorite moderate resort, and that still stands. And I was thinking about it in leading up to recording this episode, being am I giving it its fair due? And yeah, I am, even though I don't like it. And there are a lot of things that I really like about it. So I don't want to dissuade you from going, by no means. For some people, it is their favorite moderate resort, and that is really awesome. I completely can see why that happens. But there are some things that I don't particularly love about it. So as I said in this episode, I'm going to provide an overview, but in that overview, I'm going to identify the things I don't really love about it. But don't worry, this isn't going to just be a crap on Coronado Springs. I want to highlight the things that I don't particularly like so that you can make a decision about whether or not it's right for you. I'm also going to talk about all the things in Coronado Springs that are actually really, really awesome. So you might be like, oh, I don't care about anything that you just said. And that's fair. You do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. But the other things you said about all those awesome things, I want to go check those out. And great, that's awesome. That's wonderful. The point of this podcast is not to get you to do the things that I want to do, because I do those things and I love those things because those are the things that I love to do. The point of this podcast is for you to figure out the things that you love to do and then to encourage you to go and do them or to go and stay there. That's the point of this podcast, not to replicate all of our solo trips so they're exactly the same. No. It is to really invite you, empower you, and charge you to go and have your own amazing solo vacations. And the things that I don't like about Coronado, you might not care about. I'm like, that's super, super cool for you. And also just to say that even though I don't like these particular things about Coronado, I still stay there. Like, I got a really, really great deal on a room in Coronado in the first week of December. So I'm going to be staying there while I go to the Christmas party for the very first time. So yeah, just because it's not my favorite of the moderate resorts doesn't mean I'm not going to stay there. Oh my God, I'm doing so much preamble. Okay, let's just talk about Coronado Springs. So as I said, this is the fourth of the 4 moderate resorts, and 3 of the moderate resorts are set up exactly the same. And those 3 are Caribbean Beach, Riverside, and Coronado Springs. They're set up essentially the same in that they are a big circle around a body of water. When they were designed with a lobby, a gift store, a restaurant, a quick service restaurant, and then an additional food option that is not a quick service restaurant. And then around that big body of water, there's a series of neighborhoods. And those neighborhoods are clusters of rooms, and they all have their own particular theme to differentiate them between another neighborhood. And in those neighborhoods, you will have, like I said, your rooms, but also things like a quiet pool and a laundry room, things like that. And then you can go to another, neighborhood and go swim in their pool if you want, or you might decide, oh, I want to stay in a different neighborhood. Some of the neighborhoods might be a little bit more money because they're closer to the lobby and those restaurants. So I talked about in the Riverside one, the rooms that are like closest to the bayou, those ones are preferred rooms because they're very close to the dining options available. And so therefore they that walk that they save for you is worth a little bit more money. So it is the same when Coronado was built as well. There was a lobby with a gift store attached, a quick service restaurant, a full sit-down restaurant, and then when you go around that body of water, there were 3 separate neighborhoods. Now, I'm talking about this in past tense because those of you who know about Coronado know there's another element to the hotel that I'm not talking about yet. I'm just talking about how the resort was initially built. And these elements are still there, just not... they're still there. I'm going to talk about this in past tense because of the way that it was designed, but they are still there and they still function in the same way. I've also said with the moderate resorts that they all are designed around a geographical theme. So with Port Orleans Riverside, it is southern United States, like the Dixieland. The Caribbean is the Caribbean, and there isn't a lot of texture to the particular theming of the neighborhoods. It's really just about color, whereas Riverside, there's a lot of texture to the different neighborhoods. And at Coronado, there's also texture to the neighborhoods. So the geographic theme is like Mexico, Southwestern United States, around initial colonialism. So one of the neighborhoods is the Casitas, and that's a fancy area of colonialism. It has the most Spanish influences to the design of the buildings, things like that. And then you have Rancheros, which is another neighborhood, and that's kind of desert themed. So again, that's one of the things I love about Disney, that the landscaping, that storyline is pulled through the landscaping. So in Rancheros, it is more, it feels kind of dusty, not in a bad way, but in a ranch way, right? It feels kind of dusty. It feels like a desert, which is really cool. And again, you can see that through the landscaping. And then the third neighborhood is the Cabanas, and that is very beachy. And there is, in fact, a white sand beach right at the front of this neighborhood. And that beach front has hammocks and things like that. Now, of course, you can never swim in these waters. These are Gator, Florida storm drainage waters. You're never swimming in them, but the Cabana area actually has a nice little white sand beach with the hammocks and all of that stuff. So this resort has these 3 neighborhoods, and it is the fewest of the neighborhoods in comparison to Port Orleans, Riverside, and to Caribbean Beach. But this is not a small hotel. It is very, very big, and the neighborhoods themselves are quite big as well. So it's, even though there's only the 3 neighborhoods, it's still very big. And just like the other moderate resorts, these are 2 to 3 story buildings with the corridors running outside, so there's no balconies. The rooms are comfortable. They're larger than the value rooms. The standard rooms have 2 queen beds, and then there's also an option to do a king bed. Now, like all the moderate resorts, this resort too has a big pool and it's called the Dig Site and it looks like a Mayan pyramid. So again, like think of this resort and kind of like designed to be Mexican, Southwestern American. And so the idea of the Dig Site is like, oh, we just found this Mayan ruin, but we have like established settlement in these different areas. We've established a settlement in a beach area and in a desert area and in a city area. And those are the different neighborhoods. The pool here is really great. It's very big. And as a solo, I've been comfortable swimming in it by myself. It's very square, the pool, and there's all these like little areas that again, you can just kind of lean up against the wall and enjoy the water and enjoy the sun. There's also a water slide, which I highly recommend you go down solos. Definitely. And tag me. Go down the water slide, take a video or a picture of you going down the water slide and tag me because I want to make sure that you are experiencing all that solo magic has to offer. And the first time I went down a water slide at Disney as an adult was at the Coronado Dig Site Hotel. So there you go. All right, so that is the layout of this particular hotel when it was designed. There was a lobby, the quick service restaurant, a sit-down restaurant called the Mayan Grill. It's the same company that does the Mexican food at Epcot. I've only eaten there once. It was like the worst meal I've ever had at Disney, but I would definitely give it another shot for sure. But it wasn't a great food experience when I was there, but that was also a very long time ago. So anyway, there is that option. And I'll talk about the other food option, including the quick service, in a second. But here's the thing about the Coronado Hotel. When it was designed not just to be a moderate resort, it was designed to be a conference resort. So right adjacent to the quick service area, there is a giant conference center, a very, very large conference center. It wasn't an add-on, it was designed to be part of the Coronado Hotel. And I've walked through there. It's actually really beautiful. There's it's a conference center, right? Like there's nothing super exciting about a conference center, but there is some artwork, like textile artwork of handiwork, embroidery, different fabrics, blankets, shirts, clothing that are hung up on the walls. And if you are interested in like Southwestern, Mexican, Mayan, textile history or embroidery, just like go walk around the conference center and take a look at the framed artwork throughout that building. And again, no one is going to care that you're walking around. Just go walk around. It is so beautiful, these pieces, and it is well worth like taking time out of your day to go and walk around. Do you know that at the Animal Kingdom Resort, Disney actually owns the largest collection of African artwork outside the continent of Africa? Like Disney has got a lot of money, right? So it is like preserving things, it's storing things, it's archiving things, and that is also the case with these beautiful pieces at the Coronado. So definitely go check them out in the conference center. So when this resort was designed, there was the lobby, then you would walk a little bit further down, there was a giant quick service restaurant, and then there was the conference, and it all still there. And the Casitas area, which is like the kind of city type neighborhood, is the closest to all of this, and it is the largest of all of the different neighborhoods. And I think that's because it was designed to be the rooms that the people from the conferences would stay in. In fact, you can walk from the Casitas area right into the conference center. And if it's not that busy at night and you're just kind of walking through those areas, you'll see that there's a few rooms that were created to be these like 2 or 3 bedroom suites with very large boardrooms or very large quote unquote dining rooms that you can literally imagine a group of people going to a business conference and strategizing their particular presentation or sales pitch or whatever at these tables. So that's why the Casitas area is designed to be so big, because of its proximity to the conference center. So that was how this resort was designed and planned. Now, again, any of you who know Coronado know I am missing something very large, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But this week, 10 years ago, the last week of August in 2014, I stayed at Coronado with my then partner, and we had such a beautiful time. We ate at that quick service restaurant. It was like such amazing Mexican food. We like still talk about it to this day because we're still in touch. We're like, remember those enchiladas that we shared? Oh my God, it was so good. We stayed at the Rancheros area, and I remember we walked over to the dig site pool where they were showing the movie. They don't show the evening movie there anymore, but we walked over to the pool because I was like, I saw that they had aloe growing and I have a sunburn and I need you to cut some aloe off this tree and rub it on my back. And he's like, no, that's terrible. And I was like, I feel awful. So I also think of the Coronado Hotel as a place that you can get like the aloe that you need for a sunburn. But anyway, so that was 10 years ago. That was my first experience with Coronado. The lobby, the quick service, the gift store, the 3 different neighborhoods, all of that. But within the last 10 years, they got a lot more money to invest in this type of thing about this being a conference hotel, and they designed the Coronado Tower. And the Coronado Tower is now where the lobby is. So the original lobby is this just lounge co-working space. Really, it is gorgeous. It's very, very beautiful, and I feel like when you go in, it still feels very much like the lobby. Like if you go into the lobby at Port Orleans Riverside and then you go into Coronado where the original lobby is, you're like, oh, look at that. It's the exact same setup. But right now the lobby is in the tower. And this tower, like I said, was built about 5 or 6 years ago, and it is beautiful, and they went over budget. I would say that the architecture and design of this tower is far nicer and far more sophisticated than any of the deluxe resorts. Like I'm thinking about Riviera, which is the newest, until I guess the new Polynesian Tower is open, but the newest DVC tower. And look, my sister lives and works in the Italian and French Riviera, which is like the geographic area that the Riviera Hotel is supposed to reference. And there is nothing about that hotel where I go in and I'm like, oh yeah, I can see my sister's life here. Whereas my family and I, we also lived in the Caribbean, and when we go to the Caribbean hotel, we're like, oh, look at these island vibes, it feels kind of Caribbean. Now that might also have to do with the weather for sure, but I actually think that the Riviera Resort design is kind of the word that's coming to mind is cheap. It's not really the right word, but it's kind of like it was called in, oh yeah, don't worry, it's Riviera, it's fine, just trust us. Whereas I think that the Coronado, the designers, the architects, they oh my God, they were in love with this building. They were in love with the concept of this building. They were in love with what they could do with the money that Disney was giving with them. It is so, so amazing. And go and visit the tower. It is so, so beautiful. The tower has a restaurant, a tapas restaurant on the top floor. It also has a bar and lounge that's completely separate from the restaurant that has the most amazing views of Animal Kingdom, of Hollywood Studios. It is so breathtaking. There is also a whole club level. They have them at a few different deluxe resorts, and it's additional cost. And then you have food included in this particular club room. I don't think it's a great value for solos, but if people want my experience with the club level, because I treated my mom to club level last January as a Christmas present, I'm happy to talk about it, but I don't think it's a great value for solos. It was a good value for the 2 of us, for sure. It also has this beautiful lobby, again, with some areas where you can set up a laptop. And then there's this 2-story view down to a ground level bar and lounge, again with the most beautiful furniture and design. And it's beautiful. It's breathtaking. It's beautiful. And so there are so many different food and beverage options once this tower opened. So yeah, there's the quick service restaurant and there's the Mayan Grill, which is a part of the original version of the hotel. But now with this tower, there's a sit-down tapas restaurant, there's a bar and lounge, There's a bar and lounge on the first floor. There's a bar and lounge on the top floor. Like it is gorgeous. And again, the design, the chandelier, breathtaking. Here's my problem though. It doesn't make sense within the storyline of the hotel. So if the storyline of the hotel is all like Mayan, Mexico, southwestern United States, the tower is actually themed on Spain. Specifically, it is themed on Salvador Dali. And unlike in the Riviera Resort, where it doesn't remind me of any place that my sister like lives or works or whatever, at the Coronado Tower, it actually does remind me of my travels in Barcelona, that particular kind of surrealist design aesthetic. And so it is beautiful. It is wonderful. It is beautiful. But it doesn't make sense with the rest of the hotel. They have put so much energy into this tower that the rest of the hotel, including the storyline, just kind of gets lost by the wayside. Now, you might not care about that, but for me, there's this disconnect then where all of the different rooms in these 2 or 3 story buildings, which is the majority of the room stock at the Coronado Resort, seems like it is just like the redheaded stepchild, the poor cousin to this large tower where all of the energy is. And there's so many cast members that are in this area. And again, it's because they will often get these big groups coming in for conferences. So they want to make sure they have enough cast members to be able to, check in everyone that needs to check in. But then you go and you walk around the casitas in the middle of the afternoon and you don't see any cast members. Like it really feels like this disconnect. And the idea that this tower is Spain and Salvador Dali and the rest of the hotel is like Mexico and southwestern United States, it's literally like putting up a big tower at the Port Orleans Riverside Hotel, and that tower is themed after like England or Scotland. Like it doesn't make sense with the storyline. And you might not care about the storyline, but if you are looking at prices of Coronado and you're wondering if you're going to stay there, where you're going to stay, like the cheapest, most economical rooms are the rooms in the different neighborhoods, are those original parts. And those rooms are great. Those are wonderful experiences. They are the same experiences you'd get at any moderate resort. But then, like I said, all of the energy and the resources and the attention is drawn back to this tower that doesn't make sense related to the rest of the hotel. And here's an example of that. If you are there in the middle of the afternoon, it is near impossible for you to get a meal that is going to satisfy you, not just like a quick sandwich from an ice box. There is no place in the middle of the afternoon for you to get a good coffee and a satisfying lunch. And that's because all of the energy is towards the conference tower. And if you're there for a conference, your lunch is probably going to be paid for. And if you go to the quick service restaurant, the original quick service restaurant, they have very, very limited options during the day. In fact, I think that they only have the cooler and one grill open. Whereas at Port Orleans Riverside or Caribbean Beach or Port Orleans French Quarter, these other hotels that are moderate resort, you can get a full satisfying lunch in the middle of the afternoon. But so much energy is directed towards the conference crowd that there is no place to get a good lunch in the middle of the afternoon. And it really, and again, when I talk about not having a lot of cast members around, I remember swimming in a casitas pool. Actually, that's not even true. I was staying in the casitas area. I was actually upgraded to the casitas area by a really great cast member. So that was really awesome. Thank you to him. And I was planning on going to swim in the casitas pool, and it was locked. And nobody had, I was calling the help desk. Nobody had any idea why it was locked, and they couldn't help me at all. And I was actually shocked with how poor the service was related to that. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm just going to go get something to eat, get a nice drink. And if this pool isn't open, I'll just go to another one of the pools. It's not a big deal. But there was no place within quick walking distance. And it was so hot and sunny for me to get anything to eat. There is a pool bar at the dig site, but that is 15-minute walk. The closest food was the quick service, and they only had like things in the coolers, so there wasn't even anything like satisfying I could get. And all of the there was one other food option available, which is the sports bar. But like, I don't like sports bars. Like, during my normal life, I don't know, the idea of going to a sports bar when I'm at a Disney resort literally seems like just a crazy, crazy thought. I didn't want to sit in a dark sports bar with all these like screens blaring at me and to like have a mediocre burger. It was so disappointing. And by the time I walked around to the tower, there's all these cast members there, and they're like, "Oh, are you having a good day? Blah 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 blah." And here I was, like, on the other side of the hotel, just feeling kind of abandoned. And I did not love that. Not unsafe, just really clear about that. Not unsafe, just like, does nobody care about what's happening over here? Does nobody care about me as a guest, like, wanting to eat lunch in the middle of the afternoon? So I don't know, that's been my experience. And, when I think to myself, oh, maybe I'm just like overreacting. No. So when I stayed in January, again with my mother, it was her Christmas present to try this club level. But I said to her, like, she doesn't eat a lot. Like, she's an older woman, right? She doesn't eat a lot. I was like, you can only eat at club level. It's only economically worth it if we don't have any other big meals. So like, we'll have breakfast together. I'll do my own solo thing during the day. You do your own thing here at the resort during the day. And then we'll get together and have the little like dinner nibbles and stuff that they have in the club level at night. But there was no place for her in the middle of the afternoon to get lunch at all. And she was like, like the first day, she's like, I don't know, like, what should I do for lunch? So I pick something up and like leave it in the fridge. Like, there was no place to get lunch. And I just don't love that. I just don't love that. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why would I ever have lunch at a hotel? Like, I'm going to be out in the parks. But think about those check-in days or the check-out days, or just a day where you want to like relax by the pool. To not have those nice options for you at your hotel is really disappointing for me. But then nighttime comes along and you have so many options for places to eat and to drink and to socialize at Coronado. And I was like thinking about why that was one day. And then I thought, oh, right, because they don't want the conference people to leave the Disney hotel. They don't want them to leave, maybe for safety reasons. Like, they don't want you to get drunk someplace in Orlando and then like have to find your way back. But they also want that money to stay there. So the Coronado Resort, I think, actually has the most food and beverage options, ironically, than any of the other resorts, including the deluxe resorts. And that's because I think they are trying to keep all of those conference people at the hotel to spend money, but also I think it's a safety issue. And the Coronado Resort is the furthest away from the parks and Disney Springs in comparison to the other three moderate resorts. So if you're going to take the bus to Disney Springs to go get a beer or whatever at the end of the day, at the end of your conference, that might be like 30-40 minutes by the time you leave your room, wait for the bus, take the bus, get off at Disney Springs, and get to a bar. Actually, no, it's way more than 30 minutes. It might be 45 to 60 minutes. They don't want that. Disney doesn't want that. They want to keep everybody at Coronado Springs. So there is a very vibrant set of options at night for Coronado guests. Not just Coronado guests, I shouldn't say that. For anybody, you can always come and eat at any of those restaurants. And that's great at night, not great during the day. So let's talk about the food options that are available at night. So I'm going to do this geographically from the tower where the lobby is to the rest, and to like go around the circle to the rest of the hotel. So in the Coronado Tower, the Gran Destino Tower, which I will talk about a little bit more in terms of the artwork and stuff, because solos, especially if you love artwork and Salvador Dali and architecture, like the Coronado is so worth going to visit. But I want to talk a little bit about the food options first. In the Gran Destino Tower, in that main tower, you have Toledo, which is the tapas restaurant on the top floor. I didn't have a great meal there. Actually, the service was pretty poor. I had to send a bit of a cast complaint. But it wasn't so poor that I would say, like, don't go there. It was just kind of, I think, bad timing. This one wait staff was training another wait staff, and I don't think she was, like, really prepared yet to train. It was kind of an awkward experience, but the food was fine. I don't really love tapas, and I don't think tapas is really great for one person, but there is also steak and seafood options, so there you go. But a good option for solos is the bar and lounge that is next to the Toledo restaurant. So again, it's on the top floor of the tower, and it has like sangria and wines and beers and all of that stuff, cocktails. Again, I don't drink, so I'm sorry, I don't really know like how great the list is, but I actually think this is a place that you could have a really great conversation with a bartender about particular preferences that you have and what he or she might recommend. They also have a lot of nibbly bites, and I have eaten there solo, and yeah, it was really good. The food was really good. I'll see if I can find that picture and make sure that's part of the post that I do for Instagram for this particular episode. So the Dahlia Lounge, but the best part about the Dahlia Lounge is the interior design and the views. So it is worth going there just for those two things. Again, I'll come back to the interior design. On the very bottom floor of the tower, however, is the Barcelona Lounge, which again is a nice like bar and lounge that has a little bit more cocktails. There's some beautiful glasswork, beautiful artwork, and yeah, again, just really, really gorgeous. Now, because it is right below the lobby, you would want to, like, if you're checking in at like 1 o'clock, you would want to come in and then go down to that little bar and lounge and get a nice coffee and get something to eat. And nope, there really isn't that option. And that is just so disappointing. It is open from 6:30 in the morning to 12 for breakfast, but the breakfast options are kind of grab and go options. Like they will bring you the stuff, but they're getting it pre-made from the back. Like there isn't a kitchen there. And then it's closed from 12 until 3. And at 3 it will reopen, and it will have some like carrots and hummus and actually excellent cold brew coffee, as well as the bar and lounge and all that stuff. But if you get there between 12 and 3, there's nothing for you. Oh, God, it makes me so angry. But you know I'm angry because I can't stop talking about it. All right, so when you leave the tower and you go left, there is also an outdoor bar. It's again only open at night. It's one of the only bars that's consistently, outdoor bars, that is consistently open at night in the Disney hotels. I'm just trying to think about whether or not that's true. Like you can definitely walk around some of the other hotels and you're like, oh, this was definitely supposed to be something and it's no longer something. The bar that they have, that they were designed at the Coronado Resort, is open. And again, it's, for evening drinks. Then when you go into the main building, when you go into the original building, there is a quick service restaurant, which I had a wonderful meal at 10 years ago, but I haven't since then. They no longer have the same type of variety of options related to like Mexican and Southwestern American cuisine that they did 10 years ago, or that they have in comparison to the other moderate resorts. So if you listen to those other moderate resort episodes, I'll say like, oh, the French Quarter, they have some things at the quick service that is kind of like Southern American New Orleans style food. At the quick service restaurant at the Caribbean, they have some options that are kind of Caribbean flavored. So they used to have that at the quick service restaurant at Coronado, and they don't to the same extent. It really is like burgers and fries, and it's a very uninspiring menu. Oh God, it's so disappointing. And then across from that is a sports bar, which is a pretty standard sports bar. In between those two things, I should add, there is actually a coffee shop that closes in the middle of the day. So if you want a coffee or a pastry anytime after 12:30, you got to go somewhere else, like literally a different hotel. So after the quick service restaurant, there is the original sit-down restaurant there called the Maya Grill, and it has traditional kind of Mexican foods with American flavors. When I was there again 10 years ago, I feel like I was there with, again, a former partner, and we had like the very first reservation. We were like the very first table that was sat, and our food wasn't great. It was salty, and we just were like, things weren't ready for us yet, you know? Like, I think if we ate like 2 hours later, we would have had a better meal. So it's a restaurant I should go back and try, but there are so many restaurants at Coronado that's not a priority. And then there is another bar and restaurant, and this one is in the middle of the water. And this middle of the water restaurant was built around the same time that the tower was built. It's called the Three Bridges Bar and Grill. Although it had a different name. I can't remember if the name on the map is wrong or the name on the restaurant is wrong, but there are actually two different names of this. It's the same place, like you're not going anywhere. There is a restaurant, it's not enclosed, but it's very, very breezy. When I have eaten there, I thought it was really cool considering I was still outside, but very, very shaded. And that restaurant is Spanish themed. Again, there's a lot of sangrias. In fact, they actually have a programming option called Sangria University. And that is when the restaurant isn't open. It's an additional cost. And you go and you learn about the history of sangria. And then you like make your own sangria and get to try different sangrias. And here's the thing, solos. I don't drink alcohol and I'm allergic to pineapple. So I love the idea of like a bonus activity where you learn stuff and you make stuff. And I would love to go to Sangria University, but it is kind of a useless activity for me, but you should go and check it out. It's a kind of a hard thing to book because so many people want it, but it is definitely something that you should go and check out. So that is at this place, the Three Bridges Bar and Grill. Along with a sit-down restaurant, this restaurant also has a whole like lounge place with all these big club chairs and some outdoor fires when it gets a little bit more chilly at night. And they also have a lot of like to-go options. So you can go and pick up a full meal to go, and you can do a mobile order on your phone if that was something you wanted. Okay, but that's not all. There's another restaurant, and it's not another restaurant. There's another place to get food, and that is at the pool bar by the pool. And that does have a full lunch menu. It is open between 12 and 3, unlike everything else at the hotel. And you can get things like burgers, you can get taco, you can get quesadillas, you can also just get like salads, but it's still a pool bar. It's not enclosed. The seating is the seating, just like casual seating around the pool. It's not like a restaurant. So that is the place, period, that you would get food during the day. And again, so there is this big body of water, not the pool, but like the big body of water that the hotel is circulating around. And there are bridges that will connect you to the pool. And like the Three Bridges Bar and Lounge has 3 bridges going to it, right? So getting to the pool bar and the pool, you have to either walk around the big body of water or through the body of water, through the different bridges. And none of that is shaded. It is hot. It is hot. And it is far. These are long walks. Like again, to get from the Casitas quiet pool to the pool bar at the main big pool, it's like a 10-minute walk, so half a mile, unshaded, over the water or around the water. If you go around the water, it'd be more like 15 minutes. And in the middle of the day, when it's hot, when the sun is right above you, you've been lying in the pool, you just want to get something to eat because you're hungry now, to have to go walk 10 minutes. I don't know. Do you get it? Or do I sound crazy? I don't care if you think I sound crazy. It is a thing for me. Anyway, it's a thing for me. If you kind of get it, then hopefully it's a thing for you. So that is the Coronado outline. That's the Coronado overview. The Coronado overview is that it feels like 2 hotels, with the main hotel that you probably would spend the main part of your time in if you just get one of the inexpensive rooms because you're like, ooh, I got a great deal. That is like the poor second cousin to the main money of the hotel, which is the tower. And that tower doesn't fit the same storyline as the rest of the hotel. And because all of the energy is towards the tower and the conferences and all of that stuff, then it really like leaves you kind of abandoned at the rest of the hotel. And here's the thing, like when you go to the All Stars or Pop Century, you might know that you are going to see a lot of like cheerleaders or other types of sports groups, right? Like, you know that those are hotels that are designed for large groups of people, probably a lot of kids. Now, they do have cheerleaders and other sports groups at Coronado as well, for sure, but a lot of the conferences are all adults. And so you can see or hear from all of the different food and beverage options that are available at night only that all of those food and beverage options are designed for adults that are going to drink alcohol, that are going to have nibbles with all their different, work people. But that also means the hotel is going to be, if you're there during some of the conferences, it's going to be full of adults that are having work meetings. And like, look, I'm an adult that has work meetings, but I'm not an adult that has work meetings at Disney. And, having a whole bunch of children in cheerleading costumes run around you, like, might seem annoying. But for me to have a whole bunch of, sales bros having a meeting when I'm trying to find, like, a burger in the middle of the afternoon, to me, that's actually kind of worse. Like, to me, it like bursts the Disney bubble, because now all of a sudden you have people like doing real world work when you just want to be in Fantasyland. And it's not like I don't like the idea of having conferences at Disney. There was a group of nurses who were on the boat that were going from the Swan Resort, because there was a nursing conference at the Swan Resort, and they were going from the Swan Resort to Epcot. And like, that was actually a really cool vibe, but it was because they had left their conference work, all that stuff, and they knew they were going to go to Epcot and have fun. Whereas when you're at Coronado and you see a group of people that were just part of a conference or currently in a conference or in between sessions, they're still in work mode. They don't have that like, ooh, let's do Disney. And I don't know, to me, it kind of throws the energy off. So here's an example of that. When I was staying there in January, I was staying in the tower for the first time, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. And there was this gorgeous full moon, and I had just eaten all this food in the club level. And I was like, I just want to go and walk around the resort, get some fresh air, and then come back to my room, So I put on something like pajamas that were acceptable to be walking out in public. But, it's like Disney at a resort. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares, right? We're all just like in our comfy clothes at the end of the day, right? And I go downstairs, I walk around. As I'm coming back to the tower, I hear this crazy amount of noise, and like, not stressful noise. It's just loud, and it is joyful and but it is very, very loud, and it's not a noise I'm used to hearing at Disney. So I walk closer to the tower, and I go into that ground floor area where the Barcelona Lounge is. And the Barcelona Lounge is full of adults, adults like myself. It was full of adults that were obviously having a post-conference social hour, and it was full of people in their business suits. There were pens out, there was business cards, there were the phones. Like, they were having an amazing, amazing time. They were drinking, they were eating. It was great. It looked like the most fun social time after a conference possible. But here I am as someone like in another universe that could actually have been part of that same social hour, in my Disney pajamas, walking around eating a Mickey bar. And I was like, ooh, don't love this. Do not love this energy. It was too much outside the Disney bubble. It was too much feeling like real life. It was not the energy I expected or like wanted from a Disney vacation. So I quietly went and got the elevator as quickly as possible to try to just escape all these people. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just like weird vibes. So, but you might be into that. You might be like, hey, conference people, let's exchange business cards. I love it. Again, that could be what you want, and that's wonderful, All right, let's talk about pros and cons. Now, I have started with cons for the last 3 episodes because I feel like I spend the whole episode talking about pros. This time I'm going to start with pros. Why should you stay at Coronado Resort if you were staying solo? All right, well, there's so many reasons. One, there are actually really, really great deals. Sometimes you can get a room at the Coronado that is basically the same price as Pop Century. I've also seen a lot of people on different Facebook groups saying that sometimes they're called by Disney and ask if they want to switch from Pop Century to Coronado for not that much more money. And again, you'll be staying in like the original part of the hotel, but I love the original part of the hotel. I wish Disney loved the original part of the hotel as much. So yeah, like those are really great options. You might find a really, really great deal. And if you do, that is a wonderful option for you. Now, another pro is that there are a lot of different types of rooms that you could stay at the Coronado Hotel. So there are the rooms that are the cheapest rooms that are like those standard moderate room resort rooms, but then you can also stay at the actual tower, and the tower is beautiful, and it definitely is very much like a deluxe resort. So a lot of people say that staying at the Coronado in the tower, although sometimes they don't say that part of it, but that's what they mean, is like staying at a deluxe resort. And you know what? It very much is. It isn't the same type of standard room. It is a much, much more grown-up room. So for example, in the bathroom, there's no like tub and then the shower. It is just a beautiful glass shower stall with a rainfall shower head. I actually hate those, but whatever. Gosh, do I sound grumpy today? Okay, sorry about that. And there's a lot more king bed options because they have the tower and because they are appealing to, again, a conference crowd. But those rooms are certainly more expensive. So I got an amazing annual pass member deal for like Tuesday and Wednesday at the very beginning of December. And without tax, the annual pass deal, which is no longer available. Like I'm trying to actually book one more night and it's been impossible. It was $225 a night. And that is going to be in the main original section of Coronado. Now I need to get actually one more night on that stay. So I keep looking and looking and looking. And just today they said that there was one room available for the one extra night that I need. And it's only in the tower. And that starts at $300 again with the annual pass discount. So that is the difference in that kind of standard price. You can stay in the original moderate resort for a moderate resort, like kind of cheaper than a moderate resort price. And again, I'm giving you these numbers, not because you're going to find these numbers, but just as a comparison point for $225. But then the standard room in the tower with the same discount is $300. And is it worth $75 more a night to stay in the tower? Well, kind of, because the tower definitely has more deluxe amenities in the rooms. So if you want to stay in kind of a deluxe type of a resort and you don't have like the full deluxe budget, then take a look at the tower rooms at Coronado and you will definitely get that experience. In fact, all that like ranting that I've done about Coronado kind of goes out the window if you just want to stay in the tower the whole time. Like if you stay in the tower and then you just eat in the tower and you go in and out from the resorts from the tower, you'll have a great time. It's staying everywhere else where you feel abandoned. Oh gosh. Anyway, so another pro is that there are a lot of different room options. There's also a lot of different room options in terms of suites and all of that stuff because, again, they're like, ooh, conference money. A corporation's going to pay for these. But if you're not a corporation and you're paying for it on your own, you might want a one-bedroom suite. And if you do, like, enjoy it. It's going to be beautiful. All of the tower rooms are beautiful. And again, the moderate resort, original resort rooms are also beautiful, but they are that standard kind of experience that you get at any moderate resort. Another pro is how beautiful the tower is. And if you love art and you love architecture and you love interior design, then you need to go and check out the Coronado. It is so beautiful. So in the 1940s, Salvador Dali, the famous Spanish artist, connected with Walt Disney, and they started an animation project called Destino. So again, the Grand Destino Tower. It's called Destino. It didn't finish in either of their lives because they Both are such exacting type artists, but it was finished in like the last 20 years. And there are elements of that animation, that short animation piece that you can actually watch on YouTube and Disney Plus, I think, that are through the hotel. In particular, in the Dahlia Lounge, up on that top floor where the restaurant is, there's that bar and lounge. Throughout the Dahlia Lounge, they play the short film on repeat, but it's so hard to explain. There's just like metalwork and sculpture and all of this stuff that is just an ode to this particular piece of artwork, this short film. And again, if that is something that you are into, you definitely need to go and check it out. On the ground floor where the Barcelona Lounge is, as well as on the very top floor where the restaurant is, there is this, God, it's so hard to explain. It's these just big architectural pieces that really delineate the different glass and the artwork. And it's so breathtaking gorgeous. There's a two-story chandelier in the lobby that you can see in a lot of different pictures, and including some pictures and stuff that I've posted, even unrelated to the Coronado experience, and places to sit. It's just amazing. So just go and check it out. And because it is all in this public space, like you can go and stay somewhere else and just walk around the Coronado. Don't expect to eat in the middle of the day, but go and like look around, or just go to the Dahlia Lounge and have some like tapas and a drink or whatever at the end of the night, and go and like look at how beautiful this resort is. The tower in particular, like, again, the money and thought they put into it, they broke the bank. And it's so hard to be like, and then you did Riviera? All right. I mean, there's some beautiful things about Riviera, but as a concept, nothing beats Coronado. It really doesn't. Another pro of Coronado is that there are a lot of food and beverage options at night. And if you are someone that likes a nice cocktail or a sangria, or just likes to chill at a bar and a lounge and maybe like make conversations with other people, then there are so many options for you to do that when you are at Coronado. So that is really cool. Again, it's all Spanish themed. So if you particularly like Spanish wines and tapas, then yeah, there's so many great options. And I do think that, like, in comparison to all of the Disney hotels, this definitely has the most variety of places to go at night to be able to eat or drink something, which is cool. Another pro of this hotel is that if you are bundling your vacation with some remote work opportunities, this resort has a ton of quiet spots for you to work remotely. And that is because the original part of the hotel has been abandoned. So in the like quick service dining area, for example, because it's not busy in the middle of the afternoon, there's a lot of seating there that you can have a quiet Zoom call. You can sit there, you can set your laptop up. It's great. Then in the original lobby area, it is so beautiful. There's some high tables that you can sit. There's some low tables as well. Again, very, very comfortable. In the tower, there's like this whole bank of like higher tables that you can set up a laptop. Now, it's a little bit more loud in the lobby area because people are coming in and out, but it is definitely a very, very good option for you. In that first ground floor where the Barcelona Lounge is, there is also a ton of seating. Not super comfortable laptop seating, but there is a ton of seating there for you to do work. And I always see people like either doing homework like kids or having little meetings there. So another great option. So if you are planning on working remotely, then there is some wonderful options there. And if you work remotely before 12 or after 3, then there'll be some good food options for you as well. Another pro of this hotel is that because it is designed for an adult conference audience, there are some elements of the hotel that you will not find at other moderate resorts. And one thing, which is such a kind of random thing, is that the toiletries that are available for you at the other moderate resort, it's like shampoo, conditioner, soap, body wash, lotion, all that stuff. But at Coronado, they also give you mouthwash, which is such a funny, additional, helpful thing to add. So you can also get mouthwash at Coronado. The Coronado Resort also has a gym, and it's the only moderate resort that has a gym. Most of the gyms are at the deluxe resorts. So again, it's one of those perks as a conference hotel. They want to keep the conference people, the corporate people there using their facilities. If you want to know where the gym is, it is by the quiet Casita pool. Now again, remember the Casita area is the neighborhood that looks kind of like upscale urban Mexico, Southwestern America. It's the largest. It's the one that's connected to the conference center. So it is where you're going to like find the fancier things, for example. So the quiet pool, they have the gym, but here's a little secret. They also had places, it was also attached to areas where you could get massages. It wasn't a full spa, but there were spa elements that were connected to the Casita pool and to that little gym. Now, it's not open anymore, so that is kind of a moot point. But if you go into the bathrooms there is 2 different showers that you can use if you are, for example, going swimming during the day and then checking out in order to fly home that night. And you don't want to smell like chlorine. There are showers in there. There's also lockers in there. Now, these lockers don't have locks. Like if you had your own lock, I guess that would be useful. But I left my suitcase in there all day and I'm taking a risk. I recognize I'm taking a risk. I kept my passport and my wallet and all that stuff with me. But I left my suitcase in there all day as I swam in the pool and all of that stuff because I didn't want to bring it all the way back to the lobby because the lobby is again a mile away and I wanted to be able to change after I swam. So anyway, I just left my bag there all day and it was great. It felt safe. No one was, somebody I guess could have taken it, but it wasn't you would have had to really been ooh, let's go check all these nooks and crannies to find things to steal. So anyway, I left my bag there. I'm not going to tell you when I'm staying there next in case I leave my bag there again. Oh gosh, I already have in this episode. Anyway, don't steal my stuff. But there's a place that you can shower and leave your stuff there quietly as well. Okay, so those are the pros. The tower is just beautiful. There's a lot of different room choices. If you're staying in the original part of the hotel, you might actually get a really, really great deal. There is remote working spaces. There is wonderful food and beverage options. Again, wonderful and artistic and museum quality artistic pieces and architecture and archival pieces, all very amazing. What are some cons? Well, I've already talked a lot about the fact that the storyline doesn't really work and it kind of leaves the original part of the hotel abandoned. And people that are going to use the hotel the way the original hotel was designed. So again, using the resort to have lunch and swim and just stay in your room, it kind of leaves those people behind too. So this is not a resort that you can hang out all day unless you are just spending time at the big pool and getting kind of everything in. Whereas at Port Orleans Riverside, for example, you could spend the whole day there for sure. And yeah, it is also a walk to the main building or to the pool to get something to eat if you're at a quiet pool, for example. But a lot of those things are shaded and it is a lot more populated with people during the day. So it's not just you walking around in the sun by yourself. Also at Port Orleans Riverside, if you want to spend the whole day there, you could rent a bike. You could rent some fishing equipment. You could walk over to Port Orleans French Quarter and go check that out and then walk back. There's so many things that you could do at Port Orleans Riverside and spend the whole day there. But at Coronado, it's really, really designed to have kind of a happening nightlife. And during the day, there isn't as much going on. So it's not really a resort that you can hang out all day and you might not want to. And that's really cool. Again, you do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. Another con is that it is the furthest away with the fewest options to get to and from any place that is not Coronado Resort. So it is the closest to Hollywood Studios, for example, but you still need to take a bus there. Whereas if you're staying at Caribbean Beach, you can just take the Skyliner there. So they only have bus transportation at Coronado Springs. There are 4 different bus stops around the perimeter of all of those rooms, including the tower. And you, just like with the other moderate resorts, you wait in one place, you wait for your particular bus to come by. When that bus gets there, you get on, and then you go to the other bus stops, and then you go to your destination. And at the end of the night, they will drop off you at your right bus stop, but you have to do all 4 of the stops as well. So if you're first to be picked up, you're last to be dropped off, and vice versa. But you're definitely furthest from all of the rest of the stuff in comparison to the moderate resorts. In fact, you should think of the distance from the Coronado to the rest of Walt Disney Resort to be the same distance away as the All-Star hotels are. So the All-Star hotels are kind of parallel to where the Coronado Resort is, and so the distance between all of those different things is kind of the same. So if you're like, oh God, All Stars is so out there, the Coronado is equally out there. Now there are more frequent buses, and it is a much more comfortable bus system in comparison to the All Stars, but it is still pretty far out there. And unlike the Port Orleans hotels, there's no additional boat. And unlike Caribbean Beach, the other moderate resort, there is no Skyliner. So it's only bus transportation. So that's another con, especially if you want to get something to eat in the middle of the day. And finally, the last con in this very long ranty episode. Gosh, I'm so sorry. The other con is that it could be full of adults who are doing like big adulting work things, and that might harsh your vibe for your very fun, healing solo Disney vacation. It certainly did for me. Solos. Again, like I was thinking, oh yeah, I could network with these people. No, I don't want to network with these people. I just want to eat Mickey bars and like be in my pajamas at the end of the day, you know? So anyway, you might not love that. Now if there is conference people, if there's conference adults and booze, the noise level can be a little bit higher, and maybe there's also an additional safety issue. I did not find that at any of the times I actually went. Like in my brain, I'm like, oh gosh, a whole bunch of business people with like maybe corporate accounts to drink at the end of a stressful conference. They might get very drunk and rowdy. That has never been my experience, but I always think like, ooh, it could happen. Whereas I'm not thinking that at Caribbean Beach. Like, no, I'm not thinking that at Caribbean Beach, but I do think that at Coronado, even though that hasn't been my experience. So solos, should you stay there if you are going solo? Well, I would say that you should definitely go and check the resort out. Definitely go and check out that tower. Go and like get something to eat at the Dahlia Lounge. Go and do the Sangria University at the Three Bridges Bar and Lounge. All of the resorts actually have mosaic classes, but the mosaic class at the Coronado, it's an activity that I was worried I was going to be the only adult. Turns out there was only one child. It was all adults. They actually do mosaic things at all of the Disney resorts, and I'm going to talk about that on an upcoming episode about different activities to do at the resorts if you're not going to the parks during the day. But at the Coronado, it is the only resort where you can book the mosaic experience, like the mosaic class, through the My Disney Experience app ahead of time. With the rest of the mosaic classes, you can call the front desk ahead of time or sign up while you're there. But at the Coronado, you can do that ahead of time. And that was actually something I really, really wanted to do. And I was so, so excited when I finally got a spot. And I got a spot because I used an app. So there's this app called Stakeout. It's a Disney app, and you can pay for it, but you can also just do the free version. And what you can do is like set up an experience or a dining reservation that you want for a particular day and time for the amount of people that you have, and it will let you know when that becomes available. Now, if you're doing dining reservations with this, I would say 2 rather than 1, even if you're going solo, because it's the same table, but there are more options for tables for 2 in the computer brain than there is for tables for 1. So, but when you're doing these experiences, like the mosaic experience, definitely do 1 if you're booking solo. So I signed up for that and it popped up for me like, yes, we have one spot available. And I was like, yeah. So I booked it and it was a really wonderful experience. It was held in the Dahlia Lounge during the day. And it was just so calming and it had such a beautiful like view, and it was really great. I'll talk about it more on that episode about, like resort activities. So you can do an activity like that. You can also do a painting activity. Both of those things you can book ahead of time through My Disney Experience. Again, both of those options are actually available at almost all the resorts. The painting isn't offered at all the resorts, but both of them are offered at almost all the resorts. But this resort is the only one that has their booking through My Disney Experience. So solos, I would recommend going to Coronado for Sangria University or Mosaic, or for painting, or just for like drinks and tapas at one of the many restaurants in the evening, and just like see how beautiful it is. Experience it, like walk around the conference center, see all these beautiful textiles, like go and experience it. And if you don't think to yourself, oh, this is a really big resort, I wouldn't want to get stuck at a pool in the middle of the afternoon wanting to eat. And I know I keep using that example, but that has happened to me every single time I have stayed there in the last 5 years. And yeah, I should know better, but also Disney should take better care of us solos, you know what I mean? So anyway, if that doesn't bother you, then definitely see if you can book a room. And if it's in your budget to do the tower, definitely do the tower. Those rooms are beautiful. They're deluxe quality for a little bit less than the actual deluxe resorts. Definitely do that. But if you were looking for a solo vacation where you can just kind of chill, where you're planning on like not doing these like heavy, busy park days, where you really want to have a nice experience at the resort as well as in the parks, and you're on a bit of a budget, then I would not recommend this as the moderate resort you should go to. I would recommend Riverside, or even French Quarter, even though that one's a little bit more expensive, or Caribbean, even though again that doesn't have a lot of texture to it, it's chill. So I love the concept of the original Coronado, and I love the tower and how beautiful it is. And I just wish there is a better mixing of not only the storylines, but like the point of those two things, right? Like the moderate resort, the original moderate resort was built for families and also conference people. Now the resort is just so directed towards conference people and conference money that it kind of leaves the rest behind. And again, I'm going to be staying there in December, but I already am going to have it in my head that there are going to be things that I'm going to find frustrating and disappointing in comparison to my other moderate resort experiences. And because I got such a good deal, like I'm just going to be okay with that. This was a very long episode. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. If you've stayed around this long, you must be like, oh yeah, I get it. I am sorry you couldn't find anything to eat in the middle of the day every single time you've been there in the last 5 years. But I hope you don't think it's too much of a rant. It's just I feel like they've really let non-conference people behind, especially non-solos behind, because if you're there with your family, you could be like, all right, we're all going to schlep over together, or one of you are going to go get something, or we're all just going to go to the parks and do Disney Springs. But when you're by yourself, like, I don't know, again, I felt a little abandoned. But I have had good experiences with cast members there. One time I forgot my wallet and passport in the safe at the hotel, and they like called me, and like I was still on the grounds, and I get back to the room, and the cast member, like who's the housekeeper, she just opened the door of my room where she was cleaning, and she just gives me this look of like, girl, how could you forget these things? So yeah, I've had some really good experiences, and like just been really blown away by the artistic elements of the hotel. A lot more fun than Riviera. So anyway, what do you think about the Coronado? Do you think doesn't matter if you think I'm being overly critical of it. I hope you have had better experiences if you do think I'm being overly critical, but I hope this does provide a really good overview about whether or not you feel like this could be a hotel that is right for you on your solo trip. All right. That's all. This week, I'm going to be at Disney World. There's going to be a Ride, Rid, and Relocate episode that's going to come out on Friday. And then on Saturday, which is my birthday, there's going to be another bonus episode where I'm going to do a reintroduction to myself since the listenership has grown so much over the last few months, and it's been so wonderful. And then we're going to start in the fall. I'm going to do some episodes about my experiences with the Food and Wine Festival, with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. I also am really excited to do the episodes about resort activities, like if you're not planning on going to the park. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the programming through September, October, November, and December. Connect with me on Instagram. It's been so wonderful to be able to talk about all the hotels with you. And let me know if you want me to do something similar with the deluxe resort hotels as well. All right, until next time, bye. Hey Solos, it's Samantha. I hope you like this episode and all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic, the podcast about the magic of going to Disney World solo. Just a reminder to subscribe, to rate, review, to comment, to share, so that other people can learn about the magic of going to Disney World solo. Also, connect with me on social media. You can find me on Instagram, on Threads, on Facebook, and on the blog disneysolomagic.blogspot.com. On Instagram, I am Disney_solo_magic_podcast, as well as on Threads at Disney_solo_magic_podcast. And on Facebook, it's Disney Solo Magic. Again, the blog address is disneysolomagic.blogspot.com. Until next week, bye!